Welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just an amazing place to live. I'm your Colin Johnson with the Colin and Carly Group and Williams Realty. It is a gorgeous fall day here. The Lord is showing off, like the leaves are popping, reds and oranges and browns and gorgeous yellows. It's just fantastic. Enough about fall. I am here with my new friend, Rucht Lilivivat. Did I say that closely?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay, good. So I'm excited for you guys to get to meet Rush. He seems like a very cool cat. I can't wait to get into our conversation together. So first of all, Johnson City Living, you've lived here for 17 years, I think you told me.
Yes.
Tell me your favorite thing about Johnson City.
There's a lot.
You got to pick a favorite.
You got a
like
favorite.
1,000 great things about it. So, but for you,
I would say the climate and weather. It's a beautiful fall day. I love our seasons. It goes just enough.
Yep.
It doesn't overstay
a year, maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome. The summer is not too bad. I grew up in South Carolina.
Oh,
so
where?
In the middle of the state, Sumter, South Carolina.
Sumter, yeah.
It's about 45 minutes away from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
And it's in the middle of a swamp.
And it's one of the hottest places on the planet, because every time we go to Columbia, and that's close, we're like, whoa, it is so hot here.
Yeah, Columbia.
I can't wait to get back to the mountains.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I don't know why it's so hot, but it is.
Well, because it's in a swamp, so it has all things that make something really hot. So growing up in South Carolina, it was oppressive. And coming up here, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then summer, I was like, people were coming, it's so hot. I'm like, it's not that bad. I can deal with this.
Yeah, this isn't bad. It's hard to dress this time of year because it's going from 32 to 70 later, I think, today. So, you got to wear a jacket or two, and then you're like shedding it all day long. And so by the end of the day, you'll be in a t-shirt and jeans and just loving it.
That's right.
Great. It'll be a great day. So let's hear about the Rush story. You grew up in Sumter. Were you born in Sumter, South Carolina?
I was born actually in upstate New York.
Okay.
But my parents are from Thailand. I was born in the United States.
Okay.
And I was born in upstate New York. But my parents are both from Thailand.
Nice.
And they're both physicians, actually.
Oh, cool.
They met in medical school. And so they applied all over the United States to a medical school that they both got into. So that was a lot.
Right. There's a lot of weaving in there.
Exactly. So where they were able to both get into at the same time was upstate New York, which is, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
And it gets really cold.
Yeah.
So they were born in a tropical climate. They hated it. Like really
this is the longest 4 years of our lives in medical school.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then when they got out, they were like, well, we got to move somewhere warm.
Yeah, they were like on our matches, our 1, 2, and 3 are like Miami and like anywhere in Florida. They were probably like, we'll go anywhere.
So they ended up actually in Sumter, South Carolina, similar to why a lot of people end up here. Very cheap living.
Yeah.
They could start up a business very easily without much competition. And hey, it was warm, and there's mosquitoes the size of quarters, but they were used to that. That was like, they were like,
hey, we're back home.
That's exactly right. So I grew up in South Carolina. I always tell people I'm from South Carolina. That's where all my formative years are from.
Okay.
And so when I was in South Carolina, I went to Wofford College.
Oh, yeah.
Great school. Wonderful school.
Yeah.
And I met my wife there.
Nice.
And then after that, I just started chasing her career because I became a school teacher.
Okay.
So
what's your wife do?
My wife is an attorney here in Johnson City.
Okay.
McKenna Cox. McKenna Cox.
McKenna Cox. Okay.
Yeah, she works for Braden, Coleman, and McKee.
Oh, nice. And hopefully
Braden, Herndon, Coleman, and McKee. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll add on Cox later on.
You heard that's a whole nother thing.
Right. Okay.
But she
left Wofford.
We left Wofford. She kept adding degrees.
Right.
Every time she would add a degree, I would get a new teaching job in the school that she went to, and then I started just going from school to school, chasing her career around. So I worked in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, as a school teacher. I worked in Knoxville as a school teacher, and I worked here in Johnson City as a school teacher.
Any specific like ages or grades?
Mostly middle school, but I've taught third grade, fourth grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade.
No.
Yeah, I was in education for 20 years.
What's
Yeah.
your favorite? Or age
I
group?
would say 8th grade actually,
Okay.
because 8th grade they're almost in high school,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But you can use on their shoulder to manipulate them a little bit. You can be like, well, I would teach you about this, but I don't know if you're ready. I
Yeah.
mean, this is kind of adulty kind of
Right.
stuff.
I mean, this is almost high school stuff.
No. Are you sure? Edgar Allan Poe, this is like kind of gritty and stuff. No, we can. Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because of that, they're just a lot of fun. 8th grade is, I think, probably my favorite. They're just a lot of fun.
Well, good. What do you and your wife like to do? You and McKenna like to do for fun in town?
In town, where we love to go to the movies, and of course, the movies are just 5 minutes away. Yeah. Also,
we have a great movie theater. They just renovated it.
Yes, absolutely.
Got
wonderful movie
reclining seats, have heaters in them. Oh, it's so good.
Yes. And the heat in there is very nice. We I like to cook. So we I like to cook a lot of Thai food because I grew up with it.
Ooh. What time do you typically cook dinner?
6 and 7, you know.
Yeah. All right, I'll look you up.
Okay. You can come over sometime.
That'd be awesome.
And by the way, Zop Lai, which is town, is very authentic.
Yeah, we love Zop Lai.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it, Zop?
Yeah, Zop Lai.
I've been saying Zap Lai, and that's
actually I don't.
That's my East.
You're probably as correct as I am. So when I see it, I'm like, well, that's not written in how you say it.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's good.
But that's very authentic.
Yeah, good.
But since that was very important to me, cooking, we actually like to go out to eat, and there are places to eat in John City. I mean, it's so much that it's a regular feature in the paper.
Yeah.
So, we have a family. We've settled down. So all those things that you do with your family, settle down, going to the park, taking your dogs out to the park, going to theater, going to a nice place to eat. All of those things are within 5 minutes of each other.
Okay. And
when we lived in Knoxville, those things are still there, but they were half an hour away.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I mean, here you can hit a park in literally 5 minutes from your house.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Or walk there like we did.
Or walk, right. Or
I mean,
you could walk there.
One of the times in which we fell in love with the city is we went to go see Elton John at Freedom Hall.
Freedom Hall. Yep.
And then
a few times.
Johnson
City. I don't know why.
I like 3 times,
which is great.
But we went to see Elton John, and then we walked home.
How cool is that?
It's
not New York City, right? I mean, you could do that in New York, but
right. Even if you walk home, after Elton John concert, subway, taxi, walk, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
you gotta walk through some stuff.
Right. It's gonna be cumbersome, but you guys just strolled on home.
Yeah, strolled on home. Stars out, crickets.
Yeah,
crickets
and you were probably like the only couple walking home because we all like to drive around.
Yeah, there were some other people walking home, but I mean that when we were walking home that first night that we did that, we're like, this is like a dream.
Yeah, we
just went to go see an Elton John concert, and we're just walking home. And then the stars out and the crickets are singing. I mean, I was just like, is this real? Do I gotta pinch myself? So I think, as you're asking me this really good question, I think it's all those little things that add up,
right,
that make Johnson City a really, really awesome place. We love it.
Yeah. Hands down, it's unbelievable. And Fox just helped us out. But
I think that, so we got to
they're
buckle up.
We do. We need to. I'm praying for our city leaders for infrastructure and forethought for the future, because it's going to get busy. Somewhat. You're not teaching school anymore.
That is correct.
What happened?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you exactly.
Hopefully that was a good transition.
It was a good transition.
Silly.
No. It was actually a great transition. So as I was telling you before, as my wife added degrees, I would go transition to different teaching jobs following her career. Oh, you're adding a degree in this city. I can probably find a teaching job there, so I will. You're going to this city, so I probably can find a teaching job there, so I will. So my life philosophy has become, when I was young, I had all these big plans, but my life philosophy has become, no, you're a boat in the ocean, and if the wind blows a certain way, as you were saying, God had different plans for you, and you better be able to to get those waters and that wind.
Yeah.
So I just followed the call, and I just went where the wind took me, and then saw what was around and said, well, what's good about where we are right now?
Right.
So, of course, in 2020, COVID hit.
I heard a little bit about it.
During that time, it was very difficult for many, many teachers.
Oh my gosh.
But get an opportunity up where someone was someone set up a school, like basically a homeschool situation, almost like a homeschool situation, to teach kids in a more contained area, almost like a one-room schoolhouse.
Oh, cool.
And it was a great opportunity, more academic freedom than I had at Academy, which is saying something, because High School Academy gives you a lot of academic freedom, and to be frank, more money. So that happened, but then as COVID progressed, nobody knew what was going to happen, so the school closed up. Perfectly understandable.
Sure.
So I'm sitting there mid-year looking for a new job, and every single one of my colleagues said, "Don't go back to teaching." They said, "This is the worst teaching year of my life." I'm talking like teachers.
Oh, wow.
They said, we're working 2 jobs. I teach in the classroom, and then I go home and I have a whole other job teaching online. I talk to people, they're like, week to week, no one knows what's going on. Like, I don't teach high school, but over at Science Hill, for example, there was like, oh, we're back in school. No, we're not back in school. Oh, we're going to be in the classroom. We're not going to be in the classroom. There was a situation that was really bad where they had teachers teaching like on Zoom to a classroom, and they had a substitute teacher in the classroom to kind of make sure people were doing what they were doing. So it was like this weird hybrid thing. Like, nobody knew what was going on. Everybody was saying, don't come back to teaching. So I was sitting there soul searching for about 2 weeks. And in that time, by happenstance, a friend of mine on Facebook said, who are my age, and their old college buddies said, we want to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and we will pay that person $100 per session if they will run a game of Dungeons and Dragons for me. Now, so I've been a school teacher all my life. I'm a parent. I have two wonderful children, but Dungeons and Dragons has always been a hobby of mine.
Okay.
From since I was 13.
I played a long time ago when I was like 10 myself.
Okay, so we might do a little bit today, just because he might be like,
I don't remember
what is
any
this?
of it, so
you don't have to remember any of it.
There you go.
So
I like it.
So, but because I've done that my whole life, I was like, yeah, I'll do that for $100, $100 per session. Just a little walking around money while I'm looking at teaching jobs,
right? Still
looking for things, but I've been a teacher for 20 years, so I'm still looking for teaching jobs, right? I'm not going to be like, no,
right.
I'm not going to just jump out of my career. But so I started doing that, and then I put this all call out of like, is anybody else interested in this? Because I'm currently unemployed. I have no idea if anybody's interested in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got an overwhelming response.
Oh, wow. Like how overwhelming?
I immediately got like 5 responses.
People
like
saying,
right
hey,
away.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. And they were willing to pay more than $100 a session.
Wow.
And then I started looking at the numbers, and I'm like, wait, if I could recruit a few more people, I could do this for a living. So I all I had to do was push just a little bit, not very hard, a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I got more than enough. And I'm like, wait, why don't I just do this?
Yeah.
Because I love teaching. I've taught for 20 years, but I felt like, hey, I had done what I needed to do. I've had wonderful experiences. I've been in the classroom. I've had wonderful classroom experiences. I still have students that reach out and contact me from time to time. I had one literally just a month ago take me out to lunch, paid for my lunch, and we had a chit chat. So I felt like I had done those things. I'd answered God's call, frankly, as well. I had that discussion with my priest some time ago, and I could still work with young people to an extent because I'm still working with my church with young people. So I felt, yeah, let's as I said, like I've chased my wife's career, I've chased my, and I've always gone where the wind's taken me. Let's see where this takes me. And it's been, to my surprise, I'm surprised that anyone else, wildly successful.
That's amazing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so now you're a official online dungeon
Yes,
master.
dungeon master. And I didn't even know, like most people, I didn't even know that was a job.
Well, it sounds like you kind of created it, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a story of COVID, right?
Right.
That's what a lot of people ended up
Now,
doing.
did you go get your master's in dungeon theology or something? Like how are you certified? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well,
so tell us about what an online dungeon master is. Like,
yes, absolutely. So yeah, you can't get
because
your
I'm
degree
like
in
sitting
it.
here just my brain's like
Yeah,
just,
you
I
can't
don't
get your
even know
degree
what
in
to
it
think about.
yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah,
one day.
This is the
one
next
day.
opportunity for you, since you're a teacher. You can be the dean of.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
like a lot of other hobbies, like so for a minute, like somebody who's really good. Yeah, like imagine like a tennis pro,
Okay.
right? Somebody's really good at tennis.
Mhm.
Then they say, "Can I make a living at this?
Right.
Can I start teaching people how to play tennis?
Yeah.
Can I take you out to the tennis court?"
Yeah.
And so you go from playing tennis with your buddies to charging money for lessons, charging money. Maybe you charge money. You're like, you know what? I'm going to set up a local tournament.
Yeah.
You just pay me a little bit of money. I'll get everybody together and we'll play a tournament, and then there'll be a little prize at the end or whatever. This is very similar. So you're just taking your hobby and you're growing it. Now, the reason most people are willing to pay me money is that there are a lot of people who cannot find a group to play Dungeons and Dragons with. It's still
a matchmaker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's still an obscure. How on this? For some people, it's kind of an obscure hobby. So they're like, what? And so it's hard to find someone else to play Dungeons and Dragons for certain people. For a lot of people, especially the younger crowd, it's a really trendy hobby. So there are a lot of young people who play it like really bad. And for the younger people, it's actually become like a lifestyle. Like you can go to the mall and they're like these T-shirts, and
you can buy more stuff.
Whole outfits, like your purse and your boots or whatever, and everything matches, and it's pretty crazy. We can go as deep as you want to that or not, but anyway, so that's the basics of it.
There's a community out there.
Yes.
They're kind of individualistic and probably more introverted maybe, and so they don't like connecting on face to face, and so this is an easy platform for them to meet new people that are similar in their desires to play this game.
That's exactly right. And I run almost exclusively online, and many times as well, what I'm doing is I'm getting people together who live across the country.
Yeah, how cool is that?
So a lot of them are like, I have a friend in California, and we were best friends for a long time, but we never see each other. So now once a week we get together with our buddy from California. There's a group of kids that I run a game for. One of them is in England.
Nice.
So we get together on Sundays at 1:00 because it's like 7 p.m. their time.
5 hours ahead.
So something or
5 or 6.
No, it's like something like that. So that's the time that she can do it. So yeah, it's also about connecting people who are across the country, can't be close together, because most people who are local, they go to each other's houses or whatever.
Yeah. Now you just said she. I was thinking more guys want to play Dungeons and Dragons. Seems more like that. But what's the demographic there? Like, is it?
It's 50-50?
50?
Yeah, it's like a 50-50 split.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, because just things have changed. There's a whole element in Dungeons and Dragons, which we might get into here in a little bit, that anybody can engage with. And that's another thing that's kind of cool about Dungeons and Dragons too, is that I don't have a target age range.
Yeah,
I
play 15 and an 80-year-old or something.
Yeah. I play Dungeons and Dragons with people who are in their 60s, and I play Dungeons and Dragons with people who are like 12. My son. Yeah.
Okay, so let's, I guess, to it. Like, So let's pretend you and I are online playing a game together. And this is gonna go. I'm gonna speak terribly about it.
No, absolutely. No. So, let's do it.
All right. So and we don't have tons of time, but we can take our listeners through like a quick online game?
Yeah,
What does it
absolutely.
look like?
So I brought something here today to kind of illustrate that.
Okay,
So this is a game. This is an actual game I'm going to be running really soon.
cool.
I'm going to be running a murder mystery.
Ooh,
So what I'm showing right now is are people who are of the same family. So imagine for a minute if you play. Some people have played the murder mystery dinner
yes.
where you go to somebody's house, you
We've
have
done
dinner.
that. We've had a blast doing that. Yes. So this you
And
can do online.
yes, so
That's
it's
amazing.
very similar. So in this case, all these different people are from the same family, and they're gathered for a funeral, and they're going to read the will. They're doing a reading of the will.
Gotcha.
And the people who I'm playing online with, they are playing the butlers and maids of these people.
Oh, wow.
And there's going to be a murder within the first like 15 minutes of the game, and then you got to figure out who's
We've
murdered.
done it.
So you do things like you might be like, well, oh, so and so dropped over dead because they were choking on something. Oh, did they choke on something? They poisoned what? So, okay, cool. What are you doing? Are you looking in their throat? Are you looking at their lips? Are you studying their the tea that they drank?
Right.
How are you determining who did what? All that sort of thing.
Sure. And so I would ask a question like, "Hey, I want to look in this person's throat," and then as the dungeon
As
master,
as the
do you
dungeon
answer that question or look.
So the deal about that. What is the reason Dungeons and Dragons is fun? Is because it takes the interactivity up another level. So we could tell a story, and we could do like they did like thousands of years ago. I could get a stick. I could tell part of the story, give you the stick, and then you tell the other part of the story. You pass it back to me, and I tell part of the story.
Oh,
Great.
that's cool.
We could do that, but part of the fun of Dungeons and Dragons is the dice.
Mm-hmm.
So I might say, all right, you're looking in their throat. Once you roll this dice, and it uses Dungeons and Dragons uses really weird dice. This is a 20-sided die.
I remember these. Yes.
So you might roll one. So go ahead and roll one of those.
What's wrong with these?
Yep.
All right, I got an 8.
So you got an 8. So that's on the low side. You want usually a 10 or higher. So it might be like,
Not
well,
very good already.
you look in their throat and you don't see much. So what is interesting about that is that now you, instead of just passing the stick between you and me, there's a third intercessor, which is the dice. So
Gotcha.
it might be like, oh, there's an axe murderer on the other side of the door. They're going to try to burst in on you. Well, I told the door shut. Well, so what happens? Do you hold the door shut, or does the axe murderer get in? The dice tell us.
At an 8, the axe murderer got in.
Yeah, the axe.
Took
So
care
now
of me, so I'm out of the game.
maybe
Potentially.
maybe.
Roll again.
So, or maybe you're like, well, okay, now I grab the dresser and I try to push him from the door.
Ah,
But because there's that third intercessor in the story,
yeah.
both you and I, there's uncertainty as to what's going to happen next.
Gotcha.
I can't 100% is going to happen in the story, nor can you.
And you could play the same game 100 times.
Yes,
And it's all different every time.
that's actually
That's really cool.
That's very
Because you got random chance.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's why there are these published modules that make a lot of money. That people, it's mainly scripted out for you. And the basic outline is going to be the same. Where we're to run it, it's called running a module. If you were to run it, like say 3 times,
Right.
there are different things that are going to be that are going to happen every time.
That's cool.
So that is the basics of it.
See, I'm again naive to a lot of it, but my thought was we're some like elfin clan going on a quest, and we've got to find the dark wizard or something. And
Sure.
And is that an option as well? I mean,
Yeah,
so you're saying
absolutely.
that Dungeons and Dragons really isn't just like medieval stuff. It's more like it could be anything.
Yes.
So you could have any kind of story, murder mystery or what, and play online.
That's exactly right.
That's cool because I would Dungeons and Dragons sounds
Yeah. Oh,
very
yeah.
medieval
Absolutely.
and
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
and so yeah, that's what games are there out there
So
that you
absolutely. So great question. There are a lot of other games besides Dungeons and Dragons that are of the same nature. So we might roll, instead of the 20s, we might roll regular dice,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of them, or maybe just one, to determine what happens. And they use different rules. Dungeons and Dragons rules can get kind of complicated.
I remember.
excuse me. Dungeons and Dragons rules can get kind of complicated. So there's ones with simpler rules.
Mm-hmm.
There's ones with way more complicated rules according to what you want, what you desire.
Yeah.
So as far as what other games are out there, there are literally dozens of others.
That's cool.
But Dungeons and Dragons has the big brand name recognition.
Right.
So it's like Coca-Cola. Everybody says they want to play D&D, even when they stuck in the South. You want to Coke,
right?
You know, well, you want to drink.
Yeah.
But we're gonna call it a Coke. The same thing.
Soda's a Coke.
Yeah.
Down here in the South.
So same thing. I want to play D&D means I want to play one of these games that's like that. Now, what you were talking about with the elves on a quest and all that certainly exists.
Okay.
And if you're one of the younger folks, that's typically what you want to do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because that's what's trendy. That's what the kids like. There's all
kids, it was trendy back in the 80s when I was young.
That's true. There's lots of TV shows about it right now, like a ton. Like there's there's Rings of Power right now on Amazon. Yeah. There's all these anime that's like the Dragon Prince that's on Netflix. There's a YouTube show that people watch that people like are fanatical about called Critical Role.
Oh wow, okay.
Where some people from Hollywood literally play Dungeons and Dragons, and other people watch it. No, they don't act it out. They sit at a table.
They're just playing it online.
They're just playing it online. They're sitting at a table.
Holy smokes! Okay.
Laughing and having a good time, by the way. So they're not like in character the entire time. They have side comments. They talk about their day or whatever.
That's
and people
nice.
like this.
Can we put the link to that in the show notes? That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Because I love learning about stuff.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Crazy. Crazy cool though. It's neat. Okay, so how do you see yourself 5 years from now? Are you going to be like is there other levels, or you see yourself growing in this?
Since we're going to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, of course. I want to get to know Rush
the idea would be to try to draw a little bit more revenue by developing my game system.
Okay.
Now, you're never going to become rich doing that. Just have my own game system that makes some money.
Platform or okay.
That's a great way to put it. Just a little bit more money. But if I wanted to go really big, here's how deep it can get. This industry, which is like literally a year or two old, okay. There are people who saw this right away and they were like, wait, I can take this to the next level. So there's this whole thing called D&D in a castle. You pay upwards of $1,000, okay, and you play Dungeons and Dragons in a castle.
What?
And there are people there who are running the game, and a lot of them are professional miniature painters or prop designers, and one of the guys I know him actually as an acquaintance, but he's an improv actor, a professional improv actor, and he's done like a lot of voiceover work. And he does D&D in the castle as another one of his revenue streams.
That's cool.
So he's doing this thing. Mark Meir is his name. He was the voice. He was the lead voice actor in a very popular Mass Effect some years back. That was a AAA billion-dollar game. Anyhow, this is another. So because he hustles and he does $1,000, you stay in a castle. Or no, you stay in a castle. You play Dungeons and Dragons. They serve you a Thanksgiving meal.
Oh, that's cool.
So
how many people could play at the same time?
Usually the limit is 6.
Okay.
But you want anywhere from 2 to 6, and usually the ideal numbers are 4 to 6.
Okay. That's awesome. So I guess your next step is you need me to help you find a castle. We used to have it for sale.
That's right.
The Oaks Castle. It's awesome. They renovate it like crazy. So yeah. So you're gonna get a castle and you're gonna host it. I love it.
What is the castle outside of Nashville?
Well, I'm sure that's right.
That's what we're gonna to go over there and we're going to be like, hey, we're from East Tennessee.
There you go. We need to buy your castle for it.
That's right.
And run this thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else? What other kind of thoughts do you have around what you could do with this thing? So tell me about your platform thinking about building.
Okay.
Is that a subscriber thing? Can you go there?
It's gonna the platform that I'm thinking about doing is a game system.
Okay.
So it's called.
My mind goes to Nintendo when you say game system.
Okay. So Dungeons and Dragons is a game, just like Monopoly. Yes.
Rolling
and
dice
and you roll dice and that thing, and there's a book you buy, and the book gives you the rules.
Yes.
And you follow the rules and you roll the dice. So there's one problem with it, and I noticed this playing with some friends of mine, very recently actually. So I was running a game for a group online, and this group was made of some people who are new to the hobby and some people were veterans. And we weren't using Dungeons and Dragons, but they were kind of wrestling with the rules, and the rules, because as I was telling you before, we're getting pretty complicated.
Right.
We're like, well, I'm confused about this or that, or what dice do I roll, or how does this game work? And I was in there, and because I've done this since I was 13,
right,
like 35 plus years, I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm like, if I were going to play Monopoly, you've never played Monopoly?
This is probably not 15 minutes.
No, it's definitely not 15 minutes.
You may even still be learning something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And with the kids that I played with, I had to basically, because it's not, people say, well, the short attention span. It's not that. I'll get into that in a minute. With the kids I was playing with, I had to kind of teach them how to play over the course of 3 different sessions, 3 different meetings. So I didn't teach them how to play all at once. Right. I had to teach them a piece of the game at a time.
Yeah, because you'll blow their minds. You're a teacher. You understand. They can only absorb so much.
That's exactly right. So I was sitting there looking, and I'm like, you know what? A typical game, even like Monopoly, takes 15 minutes to learn how to play.
Uh-huh.
And because Monopoly can get complicated, even if you don't know all the ins and outs of Monopoly, as you're playing, you'll kind of get it, and you can kind of learn as you go.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't it be that simple? So I sat up and I made my own game system. That would be A. But B, it couldn't be so simple that it'd be like flipping a coin.
Right.
So let's go back to the murder mystery. All right. I look down his throat to see if I can see anything there.
Yeah.
Well, flip a coin. If you get heads, you might see something. If tails, you don't. Well, that's kind of boring because now we're just flipping a coin.
Right.
One of the things that makes Dungeons and Dragons fun is that you have what's called a character sheet that tells you have different skills. So let's say, well, I'm an investigator, so I'm really good at looking at certain things.
Right. Or my buddy who's an ear, nose, and throat doctor.
There you go.
He's really good at looking.
Or maybe in the scenario that I said back in the beginning, I'm a chef.
Yeah.
So if it's poison, I'm more likely to discover it. Whereas if it's something stuck in somebody's throat, I'm less likely.
Right.
So you do have these rules that make the game a little bit more interesting than flipping a coin. So I said, okay, I want to design my own game system that you can learn in 15 minutes. That's more interesting than flipping a coin, and gives the people who are playing some interesting decisions to make.
Sure.
And so I went with it, and as a school teacher, I set up parameters for myself. I'm like, it all has to fit on 3 pages.
Ooh, I like it.
So the rules fit on 3 pages. So I'm literally calling it the 3-page role-playing system. And the idea is I can give this to you. You can read the 3 pages, and you can get it. And if that's too much for you, because a lot of people who play board games or whatever, they're not going to read the 3 pages.
Right.
But somebody at the table who's playing, say, Monopoly has, and probably teach them in just 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and it worked.
That's neat.
I sat with the same group of friends, and all the things that I've wanted to do with it have worked. So we're currently in the quote unquote playtesting period of this, and because I've played Dungeons and Dragons for so long, I actually know some people in the industry.
Oh, cool.
So I contacted some professional artists that I knew, so they're going to be developing art for the game as well. So hopefully 3P RPG will take off and make. I'm not looking to make $1 billion. I've been in the industry and I've seen how that goes.
Sure.
But if it's another revenue stream,
Yeah,
that would be great.
that wouldn't hurt, right?
That would be really great. And then, so that would be great. That would be the big thing. If and I'm going to put it on a Kickstarter. That's the thing I was trying.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Yeah. Well, let's say that one of our listeners
Sure.
wanted to play online with you.
Sure.
How do they find you?
Okay, that's really easy. I have both a website and an email, and it's really easy to remember. My website is award-winning game master, all one word, award-winninggamemaster.com.
That's easy.
Because I have the very great distinction of winning the Dragon Con top scoring Dungeon Master award twice.
Oh.
So, and for those people who don't know, Dragon Con is a very large science fiction convention. That's kind of like Comic-Con, and it's about that size.
That's
it
cool.
draws like, before COVID, we were about 80 to 100,000 people.
Holy smokes!
Over Labor Day weekend.
Nice. Where they typically hold that?
It's always in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it's always over 4 different hotels.
Nice.
And all the big stars show up, like William Shatner.
Oh, cool.
Lots of TV stars show up. So again, it's very much like Comic-Con. And and they also bring games there.
Yeah.
So I was able to win the top Game Master Award at Dragon Con two different times. So that's awesome. Now that's my website. I mean, awardwinninggamemaster.com.
So they can find you there, or
or awardwinninggamemaster@gmail.com.
Okay. You on social media too? You do any of that stuff?
I have my company, very small company is called 6 Gun Robot.
6 Gun Robot. I love it.
That's on Instagram.
Okay. And
you can find that there.
Cool. Yeah. What didn't I ask you that you'd like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Okay.
I knew we could talk Dungeons and Dragons for years.
Right. But what I think is kind of fun is that, I'm going to leave the listeners with two things. One, Dungeons and Dragons is fun. You should try it.
Yeah. Get out there and give it a go.
And it's great for your kids because even though I play online over Zoom, those of you with kids, it's I know a lot of people who get their kids to do it. So the kids are having fun. They're rolling dice, they're learning rules, and it doesn't involve anything electronic.
Right.
Yeah.
This
is why I've always played board games. When I was a teacher, I was always pushing board game clubs. So,
and they're reading a lot and studying.
That's right.
Thinking, probably accessing different parts of their brain to figure out how to win or get out of these situations if they find themselves.
That's exactly right. My parents encouraged when I was a kid, because I'll just be frank, as a child of the 80s, I had a lot of friends who were getting into trouble all the time.
Yeah.
And when I was playing D&D at my house, my parents knew where I was. They knew what I was doing.
Yeah. And
they knew I wasn't getting in trouble.
Right. And the materials very clean, and I mean, yeah.
Actually, yes, very clean, because because they wanted it to be accessible for all ages.
All ages.
It is very clean.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing I would leave with listeners. The other thing I would leave with listeners is that when I was a school teacher in this area, I constantly met parents who were from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always ask, well, where are you from?
Right.
And then I would eventually come out, and a lot of people, I think, who are working from home.
Oh, yeah. Tons
but they're buying up property here because they want to live in this area.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to be very interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole trend of working at home, but wanting to live in a place like this.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. And so that's where we've been very blessed to have lots of people reach out to us and say, hey, I want to move to a place where it's great to live and raise a family, and I can work from anywhere, which is really cool. That's one of the amazing about the internet, I think. It's just unbelievable that you really work from anywhere. It used to not be like that. And only a few years ago, really, it's just starting to working from home. The whole philosophy of working from home,
Right. Actually,
it's a whole
new philosophy.
Yeah. All right. Anything, what gets you fired up, Rush?
Fired up, generally speaking, or like
anything, like generally speaking, what's like, you just like, this is awesome. But besides Dungeons and Dragons?
Learning new things.
Yeah.
I I was in education for 20 years, so I'm constantly learning things. I'm always listening to podcasts or watching educational videos.
Yeah.
And it still hadn't stopped. If you saw my YouTube history, you'd be like, well, this is like the History Channel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's so random. I'm like looking up how to put down crown molding or all kinds of different things. And one day I'll be looking up our part. And, YouTube is fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I love learning new things too. My grandfather told us you need to learn 3 new things every day. And if you do, you'll continue. You'll just have that growth mindset for the rest of your life. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I look forward to our listeners connecting with you online, maybe even playing some Dungeons and Dragons with you, which would be cool.
Absolutely, yes.
And so I'm looking forward to your gaming system and how that goes. And so yeah, we'll maybe have to get back in a year and get an update from Rush.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. Hopefully within a year that'll be up. And then also I'm running games at Mulligan's Gaming Pub.
Oh yeah,
on Monday evening.
And I think they were either the last or the couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, those folks are awesome. So you could come out and see Rush in.
Yeah.
And he's a good looking guy. So that'll be
Okay,
you need to come
thank
out.
you.
You need to come out and meet Rush at Mulligan's Gaming Pub. Have a Guinness over there with those folks. They were great. And so thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure to get to know you. I'm sure our listeners enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you for joining our conversation. Until next time, I'm with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you need to make a move, if you want to work from one of the most beautiful areas in the world, give me a call. I would love to help you find property here and help you transition to our area. Thanks and have an awesome fall day.